Hi everyone, I'm super excited to host Michael Fortenberry. He's CEO and co-founder of Protiv. Thanks a lot, Michael, for being on the show.
Peter, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much. Excited to talk.
So, Michael, take us back to your college days and till date. Like, if I were to ask the three highlights of your career till date, what would those be?
Oh, wow. So college was a little different for me. I was in the US Army, and so the Army kind of facilitated my going to school. So it was a great experience, but it took me about 7 years to work my way through that. But my journey, I guess, on the construction side started even before that. My dad was a contractor. He was an electrician. And so for me as a kid, it was, going up into the attics and pulling the wires. It was hot. He didn't want to go up there and do that work. And so that was, where we started, very country, very blue collar upbringing. But then I think after all of that kind of transpired, I ended up actually working on the multifamily world, doing apartments, managing apartment buildings for a couple large companies, but then also did a little bit of technology work around the multifamily industry. So I understood a little bit about technology, I understood a little bit about construction, a little bit about real estate, and those pieces kind of wove themselves together. I ended up in New York City and working with some very large multifamily projects here with thousands and thousands of apartments. We were doing a lot of renovation work and systematizing and building tools to make that efficient. And we ended up starting a company here in the city specifically to do large scale multifamily renovation work, which isn't so much that it's hard from a construction standpoint, but it's very hard logistically. It's hard from a planning and an organization standpoint. There weren't a lot of great tools out there to manage, doing 50 2-week projects at a time kind of thing, where you're kind of this quick rolling through renovation programs for these big properties. So we started building some tools for ourselves, and that kind of got us down the road of learning, develop software for the construction space, just because we couldn't find what we wanted on the market.
And if I were to ask, like, who were the mentors who shaped your journey?
Yeah, so there was a couple of people. I look back at the way my dad learned through his whole life. He had several different careers. In the end of his life, he was a electrician. But before that, he had had other careers. And all along the way, he was this kind of lifelong learner, kind of never stopped building new skills and developing new capabilities. And right up to the very end, my dad was always learning and adapting and solving problems. I was always like that. Like there's no end to this journey that we don't put in front of ourselves. Like just keep learning and absorbing information, and it's never too late. You can always try something new and different. And so I've really leaned into that. I worked with a very, very successful, very wealthy man. He's a billionaire who was my boss for a while. And I learned, his name is Steve. I learned from him how to ask questions. And it was an interesting thing. One, he was a bit of a quant, right? He was mathematically gifted. And so he could look at a spreadsheet and know instantly where you hid your numbers. But what I learned from him is how to keep digging and how to keep asking questions and keep pushing through the conversation with a sense of inquiry so that in the end you could extract truth and extract reality from whatever conversation. Because a lot of times, especially when you're managing people, they're telling you part of things and they're telling you some of things. And what you really want to get to is the heart of the challenge, heart of the problem, heart of the opportunity. And to do that, you've got to get adept at asking questions. So tell me more about that. So can you explain that to me further? And he just make you keep doing that until you ran out. And then he would know that's where it ends. That's the core. And I really took a lot from that. And I've tried to apply that over time.
See, anything you learned the hard way in construction?
Yeah. And I think we were going to try and talk about this. I learned that construction, it may feel like it's all about, building stuff. What it's really about is building people. And if you can build a great team, then you can build anything, right? It's not the construction that is hard. It is the people side that's hard. It's the company culture that's hard. And I wish I had learned that a lot sooner. We would have made fewer mistakes, hired better, retained better, probably grew faster. And we grew pretty quickly, but it really is about the people you put around you. You can't do all the work. You need great people who can take your vision, take your principles, the things that matter, try and do the right thing every day at the job site and execute with quality, execute with attention to detail, execute with safety. But how do you get people who care about that and want to do that? You get that from building great culture. So I think that that was something I wish I'd have learned sooner and paid a little bit of a price early on for not recognizing it.
And how do you like build that muscle of good people culture, identifying great talent?
Yeah, so that's a deep question right there. I think you always start with being authentic. And I think a lot of people say, well, I'm going to care about my team or I'm going to focus on safety or whatever. If it's not true to who you are as a person, it's hard to carry that forward every day. So I would encourage people who are building any kind of company really that the culture that you are trying to build, which is just the personality of your company, but the culture you're trying to build needs to be authentic to who you are as a leader, as a person, as a manager, that culture has to come in a very genuine way. So being authentic is a critical part of it.
Can you share how the seed of the startup was born?
Yeah. So, okay. So Protiv, which is our software company now, we had the same problem a lot of contractors have, right? I've got about 100, I think now 130 people being paid by the hour out in the field. And we were doing these renovation programs where we had about, they were like 2 week long projects, and I had about a 10-hour amount of time it was taking me to get my cabinets installed. Right, we're installing cabinets, right? About 10 hours. My carpenters cost me $40 an hour. I've got this like $400 amount of money I'm spending to install cabinets. And then we're doing the same thing over and over again, like apartment to apartment to apartment. Really on the schedule, I really needed it done in one day, right? I really needed them to get in there in 8 hours, get the cabinets done and be out of there. It would just make my schedule easier, make the logistics easier, you're kind of lining up all your different people. And so you go to the team and we're basically like, look, we've got $400 for this. If you guys can get it done in 8 hours instead of 10, I'll give you the whole $400. I just need it done right the first time so we don't have to come back, do it quality, and be done in one day. Well, it turns out that they can do it in about 6.5 hours when they want to, when it's their money. And so that was that's kind of one of two parts to the beginning of Protiv. It was that we recognized that the team performed differently when they perceived the labor budget to be their money, like a subcontractor might. The other thing was that my co-founder had worked in a painting company in college where they paid essentially like a piece rate type system. They just got paid a flat amount. And so he had seen kind of piece rate type payment process before in the trades. The problem is piece rate has a bunch of unintended consequences. It can cause people to do poor quality work. It causes them to rush. And it's not even legally compliant in a lot of the United States. So we didn't really want to do piece rate, but we knew we didn't want to just pay by the hour. You pay someone by the hour or by the day, it's just time. The equation that you and I come up with to compensate you is based on time. And that's not what we want to reward. I want to reward your quality. I want to reward your safety, your production, your teamwork, your communication. That's what I want to pay you for. So how do you do that? And that's what we started to try and solve for our company and ended up working really well.
And how was the market research and validation phase? Any assumptions you
Sure.
had during the early days? Any like, okay, didn't work out, it's not a good business model,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. So we had a perspective on the industry that was unique to us, right? The way that we worked, the type of jobs we did, the cycle time to those jobs, the number of people on the job site, the systems and data that we were exchanging with our across our tools. That was our perspective on the world. And even though we had other visibility to some other things, we didn't really see the whole scope of the construction space and the way everybody works. So when we first launched, it worked still to this day. It works great if you're doing these like 2 week long jobs with 4 people on the job site and, blah, blah, blah. It's like it was a perfect fit for that. But what we learned is that what if I'm a road building company and I've got 100 people on a project for 2 years, right? The way that I perceive project start, completion, et cetera, is very different. The way that when do I want to reward people? How do I connect budgets that are spread out over long periods of time into phases or milestones, et cetera? The reverse is also true. What if I'm a landscaping company, I'm mowing grass and I'm going to mow 50 lawns this week? And so that means I start and finish 50 jobs a week, 10 jobs a day with 2 people, right? So
Mm.
that it's this quick cycle to projects, boom, 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 boom. They take 45 minutes each kind of thing. That's very different, right? The amount of data that flows through, the way they can view that information, the way they understand their goals for the week, very different. So we just didn't understand those spaces as well when we first launched Protiv to the market. So it took a bit to evolve our tools to meet the kind of broader scope of all the things that we do when we say construction.
Yeah, that's a very interesting challenge based on the diverse type of like project cycles and the trades. So how do you prioritize what to build next?
I think if you're really smart at this, what you're doing is you're finding out what the customers want to pay for. If you're thinking about building something, you probably need to create a prototype, sit in front of your customer and say, if I build this, would you pay me more for it? Right? Because if it's
Mhm.
not worth anything to the customer, if they don't perceive value in it, then what are you building it for? Right? We're a for-profit business, right? I want to build things make sense. We also have been prioritizing things that get adoption and usage of our tools. So I think our original view of it, of the building incentive management effectively is what we were building. When I build incentive management tools, sometimes the workers are only involved with our software maybe once a week or once a month when they get their bonuses. And, it's not being used every day. So we started thinking about, well, how do we get someone to want to use our tool every day? And so we started adding features in that would let people, okay, now I have a reason to use this every day. We started with just messaging, right? Just simple messaging about the job, right? I need more concrete here, or I've got to, message someone and say, hey, what time is the delivery going to be at the site? But whatever, just simple messaging tool built into our app, just trying to get more kind of daily usage of the platform.
I feel like technology adoption in construction is like super challenging when
Sure,
you're building a product.
sure.
What are your tips for other founders who are building in construction tech?
So I hear that phrase a lot. It's hard in construction tech to get adoption of technology and da da da. Okay, but what's going to happen? Are they not going to do it? Or are they eventually going to do it? I would suggest they're eventually going to adopt. And so if you're looking for a space in which to build things, build one that's on the wave up,
Mhm.
right? Because this is just expanding. The amount of technology is just expanding in construction. It's not going to slow down for a generation. We have a long, long, long way to go. And everybody's familiar, I think, with some of the studies that have been done about construction productivity, and it's kind of lagging behind other major industries. A lot of that's because we've gotten safer and we've gotten more environmentally friendly with the way that we build, so it slows. So construction is a little bit slower because of that. But we're going to get more efficient through tech. And you're going to see, in particular, I think the AI is going to reshape procurement. It already has reshaping procurement. That's coming like a freight train. There are companies out there now that can search every vendor pretty much on earth for your materials that you need. I mean, it's really wild. And so instead of calling the 4 suppliers that they're going to contact 4,000 suppliers
Mm.
and find out who's actually got what you want for a price, a better price. So you're being able to use AI to control material costs, which is about 40% of construction expense. That's going to probably pull 5-10% out of long-term construction costs over, in just real life success. So we know that tools, whether it's Procore or and et cetera, are helping us be a bit more efficient at I'll call it just communication wise, making sure we're doing the right things, working on the right pieces. We're getting better at managing our invoicing and some things like that. So different tech is getting woven into those spaces. I'm getting better at estimating. The AI tools coming for estimating are really, really good. we're not quite at the point of reading blueprints yet, but you know that's coming, right? You know that that's on the horizon. It's just a matter of time before they're reading blueprints. And if architect could just start labeling everything the same, we'd probably already be there. But anyway, that's a
Mm-hmm.
different issue. But at some point in time, probably in the next 3, 4, 5 years, we're going to see AI reading our blueprints for us. And that will be a monumental shift in the way that we estimate. A lot of contractors are afraid to estimate certain types of work because they're afraid they're going to miss something on complex plan sets. And so smaller contractors are going to finally have some tools to move in and compete with larger contractors that have more sophisticated estimating teams. That's game changing, right? And so instead of getting 7 or 8 of the same big contract subcontractors to bid my project, I can get 70 contractors to bid my project. All right, now we're talking. Now I'm gonna know. So I think that it's going to happen. Everybody's like, oh, construction's slow to adopt. Okay, so but it will adopt, and so let's be on that wave. That's something you want to ride.
Michael, you just sparked so many interesting ideas. Like, what are the potential opportunities with and the amount of accessibility and opportunities it will unlock for the subs. I was wondering if not Protiv and you had extra time to build something, what are other problems in the industry that you would be
Sure.
excited to solve?
So I think that robotics is going to take a lot of capital, but
Mm.
it's going to probably solve half of our labor problem. So I personally think that incentive management can solve about half of our labor problem, labor shortage, just global labor shortage around construction. And I think that robotics will solve the other half. And so when you really look at, we have about 40% of construction costs are in labor. Now remember, 40% of our construction costs are also in materials, and about 20% sits in everything else. Roughly, that's a rough number. So if you look at that, there is billions of dollars in venture money flowing into solving the material procurement stuff. And there's a lot of billions flowing into solving for the 20% G&A side. There's very little money right now flowing into solving for labor because labor's harder, it's messier to solve for. So I think but robotics is one place. The problem with robotics is very, very capital intensive. And I think there are very interesting business models out there right now where instead of you investing in me as a robotics company and saying, I'm going to have you build robots and then sell those robots to the market, what we're doing is, I think what's going to happen is they're going to say, I'm going to be a drywall company and I'm going to be a robotics company at the same time. And so I'm going to build a robot for myself and then I'm going to use it to compete in the market and do a better job for less money than my competition. I've seen this already start to play out in the painting space. There's some companies out there doing robotic painting. Just they're more cost effective, they're faster. Okay, so they've got an advantage. So they can go and price competitively and have higher margins because they've got technology. So I think you'll see some in drywall, roofing, cleaning, painting. There's probably some more kinds of rebar. They're tying rebar now with robots, which looks pretty cool. So this is where we're headed, and I think robotics is going to make a impact on that. It'd be fun to work in.
It's exciting problem. Also, as you mentioned, it's capital intensive,
It
so
is
it
very
requires
capital
a
intensive. That's always been the challenge with robotics. Now, there's an interesting company out there called Viam, VIAM. Elliot Horowitz, the CEO over there, he is trying to solve that in an interesting way. He's building standards for the robotics industry because one of the challenges is that if you build a robot with an arm that does something, and I build a robot with the head over here that measures something or a sensor, our robots don't talk to each other. So if
mm,
I wanted to use your arm, I couldn't because you have different electrical engineering, different code base, different, it's just the tools that you use to build that are different than the tools I use to build mine. But what if they were a standard? Then I could go to the marketplace and get, oh, I want one of those. I want to do this. I want this. And I could cobble all that together. Now I've got a standardized robotic system that would make it much more cost effective to bring new tools to the market.
got it. Are there any companies, maybe within construction or outside construction, you think they did an incredible job in building company culture implementation?
Great company culture and implementation. I've actually had a chance to spend some time with the owner of a company called Brilliant Borders, the landscaping company. And it's a small company. It's not a giant company. It's not about someone who just truly cares about his people. Like really leans into putting his people first. And I think that it's not about whether you are big or small companies or something. Every employee you have is this person, this human being out there who has their own dreams and goals and aspirations. And if you, as the owner of a company, can empower your team to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish in their life, you'll get everything you want. I think that's an old Zig Ziglar sales thing, right? You get help enough people to get what they want, and you can have anything you want, right? And so I think that the leaders that I'm seeing are winning are the ones who are trying to help their team accomplish what they want personally, not what, like, I want to help you get the dreams you have. If your dream is to start a business, or your dream is to, buy a house or whatever, I want to help you get to where you want to go in life. That creates such a bond and such a relationship deep with between the employee and the company, that they will go further for you. They will do more for you. And it becomes a flywheel to where then you get more people working at your company who are like that. And that gets you more people who are like that, right? It builds on itself, and that allows you to be more efficient, to grow further, to serve your customers. Got to remember, you don't take care of your customer. Your people take care of your customer, right? So your job is to take care of your people, because your people will provide your service, which takes care of your customer, right? So there's this interesting thing where a lot of times say, well, we're customer first. No, we'll actually be people first. Take care of your people first. They're the ones who actually will go and serve that customer and keep that customer happy.
Mm.
That's how you make money.
Like that framing makes so much change in perspective of about running a company. Like curious to know what's next for Protiv 20
Sure.
beyond.
So one thing that we learned so it's a bit of our journey. We started building incentive tools for the workers, right? We connect the budget to on their phone. They can see the budget. They see their actual usage of time. If the crew doing the work can beat that budget, there's money left over that gets shared between the company and the workers who are on the job. So we've created a very simple and powerful incentive tool that drives quality, that drives production, that drives efficiency, communication. So that was our foundational product that we brought to the market. And it works great. It works great you will get your team to hit another gear. We're seeing double-digit lifts in production, improved quality, wages are up, labor costs are down. It's a powerful system. There's another part, though, when you start to drive productivity. One of the things we realize is a lot of companies don't really even know where they are, right? They don't, on a given day, what was done. What did they do today? And I know how much I spent because I know how many hours they worked. I mean, I had 5 people out there for the day or whatever. I know how much money I spent, but I don't really know what was finished. And a lot of times they're supposed to be clocking their time to the different tasks that they do, but they're not very good at that. That's a difficult thing to do during the day, is to get someone to clock in and out of the different tasks that they do, the different phases or milestones of a project. So my job costing is usually off a bit. What we learned is that if I could get them to give us accurate information about what they accomplished, what I've just done is I now close the loop between what did I do and what did I spend. If I know those two pieces of information, I effectively know my profitability really every day. Am I ahead or behind every single day? So what we are launching next, this actually comes out next week. I know this won't air for a while, but here it'll be out here in fall of 25. We will have summer of 25. We're going to have a process where at the end of each day, the crew lead is going to, when everybody clocks out at the job site, the crew lead is going to get a simple little interface that ties back to your operating system, Procore, or whatever you're using. And it'll have all the tasks that they were supposed to have worked on, what was done, how much of it was done, was it complete or not complete? And by doing that, it's a really clean, nice, simple interface. Take them 60 seconds to go through, click, 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 what they finished. Every single day, you'll know what was done. Now, maybe they're off a little bit here, off a little bit there, but considering right now, zero, effectively, maybe every week or two, you get a update from your supervisor, on kind of what was completed. No, we actually want to know every day. How much was done? How much did I spend? And the crew is going to see, based on how much they completed, how they're trending in terms of a bonus. So if they're getting behind, they're gonna see it. If they're getting ahead, they're gonna be like, "All right, let's keep going." That visibility right on their phone to what are we getting done? How much are we spending? It builds alignment between the crew doing the work and the management team that bid this job in the first place. I thought this was 10 days to get done, with these 6 guys out there. It looks like it's gonna it looks like now they're gonna finish it in 9 because they're ahead of schedule. It looks like it's gonna take them 11. Maybe I need to put another person over there to stay on schedule. This is game changing for contractors. 4 out of 5 people in the US construction industry are paid by the hour. We need to get their mindset to being, I get paid based on what I produce. And that is, it's worth, just for the average contractor out there, it's probably worth about 12 to 15% in production, probably worth 2 or 3% to your gross profit, and your wages will go up for your workers, which allows you to pay them more without increasing your labor costs. So the workers are happy. It builds really cool culture, get better insight into your as-built production. We think it is the next biggest change. It's the biggest impact to labor in the market. Really, I can't even imagine the last thing we've invented that's going to have this big of an impact.
This is so exciting, and I can imagine the like amount of better clarity, amount of stress relief, like for owners and the people who are doing
Yeah.
like because a lot of people like many times a company could die just like miss judging the scope.
It's a fragile business. It's a
Yeah.
high risk business. There's a reason a lot of contractors go out of business because it's challenging. You're at risk all the time. I need my team to care. The great thing is if they will care and work hard, I'm willing to pay them more.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I can actually pay for is if they can get the job done on schedule, ahead of schedule, I'm happy to share that savings with them because usually my problem is we go over budget. Only 30% of construction projects finish on budget, on schedule. Like we're not very good at this. And so if you really step back and look at what your labor costs, what's your company culture, how often you truly on budget, how often are you having to do rework, right? Rework, attention to detail, quality. How can I get everybody in my company to care about that? All right, create the financial incentives where everybody cares about that. Make it transparent, make it simple to understand, right on their phone. Bonus, in our own company, we get bonuses going out every week, right? They make money more every week because of how they're performing. And that changes behavior at the job site. People out there with an annual bonus or maybe a holiday end of the year, they send out a bonus or something. What does that do? That doesn't change someone's behavior in April. I want to change your behavior every week. I want you to bring your brain to work. You get a free brain with every employee. It's free. You hire them for their back to do this job, but they actually bring a brain. Now, some of them are better than others, but they all bring a brain to work. And if you can get them to use it, you'll be more efficient. You'll deliver better quality work. You'll get your jobs done more often on schedule.
I feel, Michael, it would be a great to have just this kind of a master class or like a book or an article. Just how do you get people to better incentivize? Because that incentive can achieve like micro as well as macro efficiency if all the parties and actors involved
Yeah.
are like working hard. Suddenly, like it's not a linear exponential return.
It wouldn't surprise me if there was a book about this in the future. That's for sure.
Nice. I want to know your thoughts on sales in construction tech.
Sure.
What are like the channels that worked out well for you
Yep.
and tips you can share?
Yeah, I'm happy to. We really like the trade shows and expos, the events. So we attend, I think last year we've probably done 10 different conferences, probably trying to do 15, maybe more over the next year. When I can stand in front of someone and talk to them about their business challenges, listen to what, they're trying to solve for, see if we can be a fit, explain what we do. Nobody's ever built something like this before. We're the first company to build a truly integrated incentive management system tied to budgets and actuals. So because they have never seen it, they don't know what it is. They've got to look at it and see it and talk to us. But so it's pretty exciting when we can be, and it's conferences from painting and electrical and concrete and general, not general, but like home builders. And we meet with all these different trade contractors. Our service mostly for trade contractors, obviously. But those events have done very well. And believe it or not, we actually just call people on the phone and we make a lot of phone calls. I have 3 guys who just all they do, and they're all from the construction space. So they all have contracting background, and they just call other contractors on the phone and talk to them. Because if you have problems with recruiting and retention of finishing your jobs on budget, finishing your jobs with good quality, on schedule, communication, motivation, if those are common problems we have in the industry. So when we call and talk about those things, a lot of times if we can get a few minutes with someone on the phone, explain to them what we do, we get a lot of interest from that.
So cold calling works in and
It has. For us, it has worked for us. So if I can get a good, a good list, you got a good list and you have good people doing it. Yep. I think that you have to have people who speak the industry language. If you don't understand construction, it's hard to call a contractor because they're going to say the change order in a sentence and you're not going to know what they're talking about.
Mm.
You have to understand construction, what that means. So we found it be helpful to have people who are from the industry on our team. Our pretty much our entire team is from construction. So our customer service team, our sales team, it's across the board.
And just on building on top, like, do our voicemail work in? Because I also put myself in the contractor's shoes and like they're super busy all day
They
and
are
like
busy.
we gotta get a call
Yep.
and like, okay, should I attend? And you just have one chance, like that first few minutes and you have to make it work.
Yeah, it's quick. You got to be fast. Like you've probably only got about 10, 15 seconds
Whoa.
for some of these. Use really quick. You've got to have something interesting to say pretty fast, but they can do it. It's not all the time. I mean, it's still something you make, 200 phone calls through the day and you have 4 appointments. It's not like everybody's willing to talk to you, but we have found that is a tool that does work. That and we do again a lot of conferences. I think
Mm.
eventually we'll get to more traditional advertising. The problem is nobody is searching for what we do because we built something new. So I can't go to
Yeah.
Google and buy a bunch of keywords because nobody's looking for us right now. But I also looking at some things like Reddit and LinkedIn to where we
Mm.
can buy some ads, maybe around people who are having conversations around these problems and see if we can
Mm.
do some advertising there.
Yeah, you have a different challenge of when you're building a category defining
Yes, for
company, then
100%.
like,
It is very different.
okay, I have a rapid fire round to wrap up the
Sure.
interview. You'll have 10 seconds max to answer and you have to keep it super brief.
All right. I'll do what I
Okay.
can.
Nice. What's your favorite restaurant, Michael?
Favorite restaurant? There's a restaurant in Colorado called The Fort, which sells all this wild game. It's amazing up in the mountains in Colorado. It's the best.
What's on your travel bucket list?
So I really want to go to Istanbul. Yeah, just it's such an iconic city. Sits at the junction of two continents. Can't wait.
Any book which made a big impact in your life?
Actually, I'll show it to you just because it's right here. I kept it since I was in high school. So I went in the army because of this book called The Five
Ah,
Fingers. It's a fiction book about some Vietnam guys, but it made me go in the army. And when I was a little kid, and that kind of set the course of my life. And anyway, and I've still got this book from high school. I take it with me. It's always with me.
your favorite movie?
Favorite movie, Sicario. Sicario's excellent. The first one.
Okay. Do you listen to podcasts? If yes, what are like your top ones?
Oh, I'm a Joe Rogan guy. I love Joe Rogan. I listen to Joe Rogan all I can. Every morning in the gym, got Joe Rogan on. So yeah, he is. I love the way, remember I talked earlier about answering questions? The guy just asks questions. He's inquisitive. He wants to learn, wants to know new things. He's willing to change his mind. Love
Mm,
it. The guy's
I see.
evolved. Like he's not the same person he used to be. Says a lot.
Yep, I see. What's the best piece of advice you have received till date?
Don't quit. Perseverance is key. You have to be able to willing to push through challenges, overcome obstacles. Sometimes things hurt, sometimes they're hard. Just keep going because there's a reward at the end. I do a lot of racing, obstacle course, mud, kind of through the mountains and it's kind of crazy races called Spartan races. And I'm old, I'm 56 and it's hard. It hurts a lot. I get injured a lot and just keep going. And even though the next morning you don't want to go do it again, you just get up and do it anyway. Right? You're in
Mm,
control. Your body isn't in control. Your mind is. So my advice is your mind is in control, not your body. So perseverance, just don't quit. Keep pushing, keep pushing. It's worth it.
I can see the kit in the frame behind.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's some of my I got a bunch of No, they give you one of those whenever you survive. So super fun.
I see. Let's say you have unlimited time and money and you have one day. What would you do?
I'd probably go sailing with my wife. I like to sail and I like my wife.
Do you have any regret in life?
Oh my gosh. Dude, we have a whole nother podcast for that. That's a long one. Yeah, I wish yeah, so many honestly that's we'd be here all day, man. Yeah.
Might be difficult to pick one.
Yeah, if I had to pick one, can never play with your kids enough. There's never an amount that's too much.
That's a great one. Anything, Michael, which we didn't cover in this interview and like to end on that note?
You know, if folks are building, whether it's a construction tech company or a construction company out there, you know, they have questions, challenges, whatever. I've seen both sides of this at this point. So happy to talk with people. And I hope folks will reach out if they have, you know, just their own journey, their own questions. You know, I like what we're building. I love our industry and I really want to see it evolve. So if there's anything I can do, anybody out there is just looking for a little bit of support, guidance, direction, thoughts, either side of the table, happy to help.
That's so nice of you, Michael. I can understand how big of a impact it could make because founders like early days are always struggling and there's so many things they are figuring out and someone who's like okay guiding them, providing tips and sometimes just a intro or a referral can make a big difference in that
Sure does.
company's journey.
Sure does. It's super fun. But again, you know, protiv.com is our website. You can give me Michael at protiv.com is email me anything, whatever they want. Happy to help.
Amazing. Thanks a lot for being on the show, Michael.
It was my pleasure. Super enjoyed it and look forward to staying in touch and seeing where we can take this whole industry.
Amazing.